You're listening to Girls with Grafts, a burn community podcast created by Phoenix Society for Burn Survivors, a leading nonprofit dedicated to supporting the burn community. In this podcast, we'll talk with burn survivors, share resources to help with supporting and improving burn recovery, and discuss how to prevent burn injuries. Here are your hosts, burn survivors and Phoenix Society's marketing team, Amber Wilcox and Rachel Kudlak.
Hello and welcome back to Girls with Grafts. I am Rachel Kudlak. I'm one of the hosts of the podcast, and today I am so happy to be back with my lovely co-host Amber Wilcox. So welcome back, Amber.
Thank you. It's been such a long time. I'm so excited to be back on the stream with you. And we're live today, which is exciting. So I'd love the chance to chat with some other folks out there. And so if you have questions or comments about, and then we already have some coming through. But if you have questions or comments and you want to chat with us today, go ahead and leave them in the comment section, and we'd be happy to chat through things with you.
Yes. Well, before I introduce today's guest, which if you can tell by the title, you already know who she is. But Amber, how have you been? I know our listeners have been missing you. I know people probably got a little confused. We did pre-record some episodes before Amber had a baby.
I'm not still pregnant. It would be like the longest pregnancy ever, right? I am not still pregnant. Yes, I did have my baby boy, Crew. He's 3 months old last week. So he's doing great, and we're having the time of our life, taking him to Disney World and doing some fun things around with him. So we're doing good. Sleep comes when it happens, but other than that, we're having a good time.
Oh my gosh, I'm sure, especially the holidays too, with like your Crew's first holiday season, has to be so much fun just to experience all of it.
And he loves lights. So we have our Christmas tree up, but anywhere we go where there's like any lights, it can be Christmas lights, but also just lights in general. His eyes get real big and he just loves to stare at lights. So we spend a lot of time looking at lights these days. But yes, we're very excited for his first Christmas, even though he doesn't really understand it. We are all very excited to have him. So I can't wait to have the holidays with him, but it is super busy right now. So I feel like as a mom, it's like you have a difficult time like trying to fit everything in while you're also trying to do all the things you used to. So it's definitely an adjustment, and I can relate it to, I feel like going through a new change in your life with like burns. I feel like this is like another new chapter for us. So we adapted really well with my burn injury. And then now we're just kind of, everything we learned from that is happening all over again in a different way. So yes, crazy time.
That's amazing. Well, like I said, I'm so happy for you to be back. Today is our last episode of season 3 of Girls with Grafts. It's a live episode. I'm in the holiday spirit. I know you can't really see, but I got the holly jolly vibes.
I saw that. I'm impressed. I do have a Christmas tree behind me, and it'll sometimes pop in here, but there's also, I'm in elf land of gifts behind me as well for Christmas. So yes, I should have brought my holiday spirit on, but we do match a little bit, a little grays going on. So
exactly.
Awesome. Well, I'm so excited for today's guest, and I know you are too, Rachel. But before we do, let's go ahead and shout out our sponsor for today's podcast.
Yes. So today's podcast is powered by Buses by the Beach. Buses by the Beach is a group of VW bus lovers, and they're based in West Michigan, which is right near where Phoenix Society headquarters are in Grand Rapids. So they camp, they host events, and they raise funds for Phoenix Society for Burn Survivors. So we just want to give them a special shout out for all of their support every single year and throughout their events. So shout out to Buses by the Beach.
Yes, and I'm jealous of their event every year. I love VW buses, and I wish I was in Michigan to be there. So
Well, our guest, who, like I said, if you read the title, you know who she is, Amy Acton. She was at the last event, so maybe we can get a few updates
Get a
from
scoop
her.
from her. Yes.
Yeah. But today we do have Amy Acton, who is the CEO of Phoenix Society for Burn Survivors. She has been serving the organization for over 20 years. Amy is a burn survivor, a former burn nurse, and a leading advocate for the burn community. She has dedicated her career to promoting the expansion of burn recovery services and resources for burn survivors and caregivers. So that was just a quick little snippet of what Amy's done. But thank you so much, Amy, for joining us live today on the podcast.
Yeah, thanks,
It's
Amy.
great to be here again. Awesome. And I will tell you, if you can get to Buses by the Beach, you must come. It is one of the best
I know.
times.
Like
Great music, wonderful people. Just I have a little camper van, and I spent the weekend there. I didn't look
awesome.
Wasn't a VW, but I had a great time with them. Really good time.
Well, it sounds like a great time. Next time I'm up in the Michigan area, I'll have to time it with the Buses by the Beach.
It's a must do.
Those are some of my favorite things, the beach as well. Well, Amy, I know that before we kind of get into more topics for today's podcast that we have for you, want to check in with you and just see how you're doing this holiday as well.
I'm doing well. Just, staying calm, cool, and collected as, deadlines approach and the year end approaches, but looking forward for a little quiet time with family and friends and doing well.
That's awesome. Well, I know I mentioned this already, but this is a live podcast. So we brought Amy on just to kind of look back at 2023, talk about some of our successes throughout the year, and then to help, educate our listeners on what they can expect to see from Phoenix Society in 2024. So like we mentioned, if you have comments or questions or you have highlights from this past year you want to share, leave those in the comment sections and we'll be sure to pull them up here and get Amy to answer. So This is your time. Questions for Amy. She's here.
Yeah,
she's
please.
live.
Come on, bring it on.
She's ready to answer. But to get us started, I just can't believe it's December and it's December 14th. Christmas and the holidays, they're quickly approaching. The new year is going to be here before we know it. And it's crazy to just think back of 2023 and all the things that we've accomplished so far this year. So, Amy, what are some of your, major wins that maybe you want to touch on that we accomplished in 2023?
Well, I think those have been around Phoenix Society for a while. Having Phoenix World Burn back was a huge, huge moment. I think we all missed it. Obviously, COVID put us on the sidelines for a while. It was just awesome to be back together face to face with the community, with the fire service, with healthcare professionals, all kind of coming together to support one another. So that was a highlight for me. We had 13 countries represented this year, which is awesome to, again, see the international exposure and reach that this community has. The theme was moving forward together, and I felt this year, as the year got going, I just felt momentum on reaching more people in different ways and bringing new people into the organization. So all the new people at World Burn was the other highlight. Around half of the people were brand new to World Burn and to the community. And as we all say, none of us wanted to come here, but if you have to be here, it's great to be in that kind of community.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Yeah,
That's awesome.
It was amazing. I know you were on a few months ago and we talked about the conference, but it was so amazing to have all the folks that we met during COVID online and all this virtual connection, and to see that really come together in person was a highlight for me. And for so many of our community, I think basically everyone said that was one of their highlights is, I met these folks online. I've been texting them and calling with them, and I get to finally meet them in person.
I'm jealous. It sounds like it was a blast, and I happened to see all the great pictures and videos you guys shared from the event. But Amy, I'd love to hear from you what your favorite part, I guess, of the event was from this past year.
Well, again, I kind of what you just mentioned. I mean, I met people that, we had met online and it was out of context, right? So I think I ran into Jane Fair and I didn't recognize her at first because I was like, oh, this is out of context. It was wild. So, I mean, I think people that you felt that you've come to know that you've never really met face to face, that's always really grand. I think there was also a great session that I didn't anticipate it to be such a hit, but we had a session with the fire service. The United States Fire Administrator was there. Leaders from NFPA, NFSA, NFFF, which is the National Fallen Firefighters Foundation. So having that group talk about advocacy with Rob Feeney and Gina Russo from the Station Nightclub Fire, and just the power of the survivor voice, it reignited kind of my passion for advocacy, listening to that group and kind of reflecting on the impacts we've had over the last several decades. So that was a highlight for me. And it sounds like it was a pretty well received event for the rest of the group. Maybe a general session next year.
Yes, definitely. And for those who may have missed the event, or even if you want to rewatch it or share it with others, we do have that video on our Facebook page and our YouTube profile. So it was, I can agree, it was an amazing session. I often find myself running around trying to do my marketing job and capturing moments and doing all the behind the scenes. But that was one of the sessions I really was there and I just listened. And I totally agree with you, Amy. It just reminded me how important the advocacy arm of what we do is. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I feel like I don't always feel like maybe I am making a difference, but when we had Dr. Lori up there just talking, it was just such a powerful reminder of why one voice is so important and why we have to come together and share our voice. So I do highly recommend checking out that video if you haven't seen it already.
One other highlight I want to mention, and that was volunteers, some of the volunteers that came into the community for the first time, and then those that have come back, and just their passion for being back and supporting the community and giving up a week of their vacation time or time to come and be part of this community. And one of them just really shared, she had not been in such an environment that was so loving and caring. And just to be amongst the community was really impactful for her as well as a volunteer. So I think that's always fun when you can expand your community just by being who you are. And I think that was really a big highlight for me again this year. You kind of forgot that after not doing it for 4 years.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Well, like I said, you were on, right after the conference. We did a quick little video, but one area that we didn't get to highlight during that video, because it was right after the conference, was a little bit more about, the financials from behind the scenes of the conference. Mm-hmm. So we did, our year-end impact report is currently being printed and mailed. So be on the lookout for that coming soon. But in the meantime, we did want to just share a little bit more of an update in terms of financials. Phoenix Society does subsidize part of the conference cost. And we want to be really transparent with our community of, what the costs are. So I am going to, if you are watching this, I do have a graphic I'm going to pull up here on the screen. But if you're listening, we'll walk through it too. So let me see if I can pull it up here. So I know it's probably a little small for folks, but that's why we have Amy, because she's going to talk us through it today. But I'll just kind of run through the quick high level. Our total revenue was, just about $539,000. But expenses were also very high, and that was close to $693,000, excuse me. So Amy, can you just talk us through a little bit more of, the behind the scenes of the event?
Yeah, I think it's really important to share again, because, we understand and we've been working really hard to try to keep our expenses as low as possible, to have it as affordable as possible. Yet we recognize even that is very hard for many people. But the reality of the environment this year, for sure, I mean, I can't remember what the exact number, but a gallon of coffee compared to when we had it in 2019 was, I don't know, 3 times as much. It was astronomical. So again, the challenges are real, to make sure that we continue to have World Burn Congress, because we know how important it is to the community. So we go out and raise about 52% through sponsorships. Our wonderful MedStar DC firefighters were kind of our lead sponsors. Johns Hopkins, many others joined us to support 52% of that revenue that we talked about. About 44% of that is registration fees. So less than half is covered by registration. 4% is exhibitors. And then the Phoenix Society kind of made up a balance of that as well. And then our expenses, about 51% is programmatic planning, getting speakers there, the support of the program, the marketing, making sure people know it's there and signing up, and the platforms to do registration. That's about 51% of our cost. 41% of it is food and beverage. Again, as I mentioned, and I know if you had the breakfast sandwich, there was nothing to write home about. It was pretty pathetic, to be honest. But we were trying, again, to keep the cost at an affordable way so people could come. So we're looking at all sorts of ways we might be able to strategize around food, but we know that having some food is important. 8% is like the convention center, AV cost, those kind of incidentals around the hotel that kind of come and get us. And, I think the other way it's affordable is about 53 organizations sponsor people to come. So they're paying that 44% of registration cost for a lot of people. So again, it's a community effort. I think my point here in sharing this and being kind of transparent about the buckets that are funding it and then our costs is just to be really clear that it takes a community and it takes all of us to make it happen. And we continue to take the content, and I think we have about 8 sessions that will be allowed online, so people can still get some of that good content that was there but couldn't attend. So we'll continue to look at ways to bring the community together around World Burn if you can't be there. We talked about streaming it and doing hybrid, but that cost also has gone through the roof at hotels. I think they figured out that, people want to do hybrid. So internet all of a sudden got to be like thousands of dollars a minute. So that wasn't an option for us here. But we'll continue to work with our sponsors and those that are passionate about bringing the community together to make it work. But I wanted to kind of share that with the community.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Amy, too, for going over that. And like we said, we want to help share and educate our community of the behind the scenes. Last year I went through the wedding planning process and I didn't really understand event planning, and now I get it. You talk about food and beverage, it's ridiculous how much that costs. So we just want to help, educate our community. And, like you said, we are looking for ways to change things up for 2025. And that's why, filling out the post-conference evaluation or sending us your ideas, dropping them in the comments right now, even if you're listening later. Let us know what you want us to keep and what you want us to change too.
Yeah. Volunteering, being a speaker. I think, again, as you see, the expenses were more than what we brought in with direct sponsorship. So the Phoenix Society general support that people provide, the Phoenix Society covered 22% of that cost. So everybody that donated to Phoenix Society last year had a hand in making it work.
Definitely.
Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing all of that with us, Amy. Once again, if anyone has comments, it looks like we have a couple that came through, so I'm going to share them before we move on here. Okay. It looks like Latoya just wants to say, can't wait to chat with you today. So hi, Latoya. Thanks for joining us. And we have a note from Crystal from Oklahoma. So Crystal says, hello, ladies. Thank you for all your wonderful resources. I'm so blessed to have connected with this wonderful community. So thank you, Crystal. We really appreciate you reaching out to us. Well, Amy, I want to switch gears a little bit to talk a little bit about kind of what's happened in 2023. So Phoenix Society began hosting some special topic support groups. Amy, I'd love to hear from you a little bit about the impact of those groups and what they were. You want to share with our audience?
Yeah, so we've continuing to hear from you and what you want to hear about and kind of connect around. So some of these are support groups. We're also moving into kind of networking groups next year here. So it's kind of beyond support groups. It's networking around topics and issues. So we had one around navigating the holidays. It's a stressful time, tends to kind of trigger many people. So that's one that has always been very popular. We did one on mindfulness, developing kind of your unique style. And that was hosted by you, right, Amber?
It was.
Yeah.
I very much enjoyed that conversation with everyone about ways to be mindful.
Yeah. Post-traumatic stress, and then self-esteem and building confidence. So there's so many wonderful topics and issues. Obviously, World Burn is just one place we do it, but this is another place that we can kind of bring people together around topics, experience what's worked for them, and suggestions. So we're going to continue to build that content next year. We're going to have some Spanish speaking opportunities and different age groups. So we'll look for us to continue that. And I would encourage people to engage in it. If you're interested in a topic, let us know. And we'll continue to build that out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it looks like John just said hello. So hi, John. Good to see you on the stream today.
Yes. Yeah. And just going off what Amy shared too, thinking of these support groups, but they're also networking groups, like you mentioned. And, if you are someone who is an expert in a field or something like that, and you want to help us run a group, let us know. We want to help folks, but, if you want to give back, that's also another great way to get involved and share your expertise with the community.
Yeah. Think of us as a platform, as a platform for people to come together and share ideas and information.
Yeah, that's definitely, I'm looking forward to expanding that next year with the team. So, speaking of 2024, it's just a few days away. And I know the team here at Phoenix Society, we've been working really hard behind the scenes to launch the Journey Forward program. So some folks may have heard a little bit about it. It's just still something new that we're working on, and the pilot's about to begin. So Amy, can you just kind of tell us what the Journey Forward program is?
Sure. Again, you probably remember the Journey Forward kit that we tried and tested last year. And that was a concept, again, based on hearing from you, survivors and families, about that hard transition from hospital to home. Continually over my 25 years, we've heard that problem and that issue and not knowing what to expect. So we're trying to address that challenge with very busy hospital staff, a fair amount of turnover in these units, not understanding maybe what resources are available for patients and families, and very busy. So how can we make it easy for them, connect survivors and families with what they're looking for when they're looking for it? So we've taken what we learned in the kit project, which the kit was nice, but the reality, what we heard from you, is information was really important. A clear connection, how we get connected and what you're looking for. So we learned a lot about that. And we also spent a lot of time talking to the burn centers about what their challenges were. So we've developed a Journey Forward program, which is really a package of the Phoenix Society services. Traditionally, we've had the Phoenix SOAR in the hospital setting, which was peer support. But many of the hospital professionals didn't know about all the resources that were available online. They didn't know about our online support groups and chats. So we're really developing a package of services that they can understand and know and connect people to in a very seamless way. So we'll be piloting that with UC Davis out in California, starting I think January, February timeframe. We're working very hard to do that, and then we'll start to roll that out with different burn center partners.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. It looks like we have some folks that are a part of SOAR even joining us on our podcast today. So thank you for being a part of SOAR. Amy, I guess before we continue, do you want to tell the community and maybe those listening who are not familiar with SOAR what the SOAR program is?
Yeah, Phoenix SOAR is Survivors Offering Assistance in Recovery, and it's probably about 25 years old now, close to it. It's a peer support program that traditionally has been hospital-based, where we train hospital staff on how to utilize peer supporters for current patients and families. And they have a group of volunteers, survivors and family members, who are willing to go in and help and mentor people new on their journey. They go through a training, and we evaluate these visits. So we've been doing that for a long time. We're in about 85 hospitals, and currently we're expanding that. We're looking at how do we continue to expand a really beneficial activity. Some of the research shows that it helps outcomes to have peer support connection. So we're doing a few things. One, we're expanding into Spanish speaking. So we're going to be training some instructors and doing our first training. Was it January or February?
January is the first Spanish course. Yeah.
Yeah. So the first Spanish course training peer supporters. So that's one area that we're going. And then the other thing we're doing is partnering with some of the nonprofits, the burn nonprofits, local nonprofits, helping for them to have trained peer supporters using the same model, but expanding it out into the community. And the third way is that what we've found is sometimes the hospitals maybe don't have a good match, or they don't have SOAR, or maybe they can't, it doesn't happen in the hospital setting. Phoenix will have their own peer supporters that will be providing peer support through our organization. But the beauty of all this is we've developed a platform to schedule a peer support visit. If you're at the hospital or maybe at the foundation level or at Phoenix Society, you can schedule to talk to a peer. We'll send out evaluations. How did it go? What went well, what didn't, and continue to build this network of connection and community. So lots of great work has been done. Sandy in the program area. We have Sarah, who's been working very hard with burn centers. It's just been an amazing effort this year to expand and think about SOAR in new ways.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm personally just so excited for the new expansion of SOAR. We talk a lot on the podcast, sometimes you're hours away from your closest burn center or the closest burn foundation even. So I'm really excited to, we're making it easier to access that peer support. And I think it'll just streamline really for everyone. It'll be better for the survivors and caregivers getting the support. It'll be easier for our peer supporters to give support. We know that, peer supporters want to help, and now there's even more ways to. Plus it helps the hospitals that, it can take a little, it'll free up a little of their time because we are making it easier for everyone else.
Yeah, I think it's good in all. I mean, sometimes people aren't ready in the hospital, and sometimes they are. So to have it in the hospital is important. Families are tending to get more peer support in the hospital setting than the burn survivor. And as a burn survivor comes out of the hospital and get settled in the community, they're reaching out much later. So I think you think about it as a continuum or that journey that we're on, and when we may need it. Some people don't want peer support. They just want to know, what can I expect? So when I say peer support, it really is kind of, you can talk one-on-one with somebody about what to expect. It's not necessarily psychosocial support. It's like, how do you live with this? How do you handle the questions? How do you handle, where do you find your dressings? There's just so many kind of nuances to peer support. And I think having a broader network and being able to match people with maybe like issues or like type of injuries is also something people have wanted. Like if I'm a young woman with a burn injury, can I talk to another young woman or someone who's been where I've been with a similar background? And that's what we're trying to do, is get that specific for people so they can find a mentor.
That's so important.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for chatting with us more about SOAR, Amy. Those are so many exciting updates. It looks like we have some additional folks that are a part of SOAR that are excited. And John mentioned that, his burn center was 6 hours away. So, yes, the importance of SOAR is there. And so we do encourage our community to learn more about SOAR by visiting our website and going to Phoenix SOAR. If you'd like to be a part of the program.
Yeah, it's a great way to give back. I mean, I think, again, we can't do it without volunteers, and we can't do it without coordinators at the hospital level that are going above and beyond their job often to make this happen. So again, it is a community effort. And it takes all of us to make it work. So thank you for all of those that are volunteering in one way or another, or financially supporting the program so we can make sure people don't feel alone.
Mm-hmm. Well, and those expansions for Phoenix Store are so great. But I do want to go back to the Journey Forward program, because Phoenix Store is part of that program. And like you said, oftentimes maybe folks have met us through Phoenix Store and maybe think that that's all that Phoenix Society provides. But Journey Forward is really a package of all of our services and programs, like you mentioned, Amy. So can you talk a little bit more, for example, we have Lily doing our INR, and most folks are like, what does that even mean? So can you talk a little bit more about some of the other services that can go into the Journey Forward program?
Sure. Again, I think over the years, we have evolved our programs based on need, right? And so we've been doing kind of answering people's questions and trying to connect them. We call ourselves a connector and convener, right? We've been doing that for 20 years. We didn't necessarily call it a program, but it really is a resource and referral program. And so we're putting structure around that work that we've been doing for a long time. We have a broad network of friends and professionals throughout the country that can help, but often people can't find them. So by connecting to Phoenix Society, through whether you're coming in through SOAR or the Journey Forward or just on our website, what we're trying to do is make it simpler for you to find what you're looking for. So the Journey Forward kind of encompasses all of those programs and tries to put them in a package for the hospital. So when you're starting your journey, you can kind of pick and choose about what you're looking for. If you don't want peer support, that's okay. But you might want some information about legal issues that you're struggling with, or you may have other questions about itching and pain. So we're trying to, again, meet people where they are with the resources that they need. So when we talk about the Journey Forward, SOAR is a component of that at the hospital.
Yeah. Well, and you just brought up legal, which is a great, just another great point is that some folks don't even realize the resources that are available, or maybe even rights that they might have, when it comes to legal rights or financial assistance, or, I don't know all the ins and outs either, but there's a lot of information. And when you're in the hospital, especially early on, you are focusing on that physical recovery, and you might not even be thinking about what's coming next.
Yeah.
And we want to help survivors and caregivers navigate that journey and know what to expect and know what options and resources and programs are out there for you.
Yeah. And some of us we're fortunate to have somebody mention to us early, maybe in our recovery, to say, hey, this is an interesting accident, but there's probably some liability here that you need to maybe think about as a family member to protect your loved one. So I think, again, there's just such education. None of us practice this. It's our first time through it. So we know that there are product issues. We know that there are legal issues that do cause, as an advocate, as a prevention advocate, we know that there are things that shouldn't be happening to people. So if we have somebody to look at that legal issue for us, and we understand how to look for somebody to do that, that's really important information for the family in that early days. So again, it's educating both the survivor, the healthcare professionals, and others about the things that survivors tell us that they want to know more about.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
And it looks like Crystal mentioned the resources that are on the website about the Journey Forward kit. So feel free to visit us online to see some of those printables that happen as part of the Journey Forward kit as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And the kit, we are moving away from that, just to be clear. I mean, I think the kit was, and I think we may hopefully sometime get back to a physical kit. But we're going to need to figure out how to fund that. It may be, we have people out there raising money to make sure people get their kit. Right now, digital is the biggest way we're doing that. And what we learned is that wasn't the most important part for the survivor and family member. So we want to make sure we're focusing on what their needs are.
Mm-hmm. And, one the tougher parts that we found with the kit too was, there is a delay from when you sign up for something. And are you signing up on day 3 in the hospital, or are you signing up on the day you're going home? That there may have been great resources for you, but they're sitting at home while you're sitting in the hospital or whatnot. So the digital will get you the resources instantly or almost instantly, as fast as we can make it come. I'm really looking forward to working with UC Davis next year on this pilot program and expanding it to more hospitals and burn centers next year.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, we talked a little bit too about Spanish Phoenix SOAR already, which I'm really excited for. We also have Spanish Sarah Steps coming out. So for those who don't know, Sarah Steps is a book that we developed a few years ago for, children who have burn injuries, or children of, parents or siblings, just a children's book to help talk about burn injuries and, to your friends, in school and things like that. So I'm really excited to have the Spanish version of that coming out here soon as well as building out our Spanish resources that we have. Lily, who is our community resource coordinator, she is Spanish speaking. So that's been a huge help with us too. As we grow our community, we know that's a need. And I really see us growing that need, or fixing that need, I guess, in 2024.
Yeah, and I think those are other ways that people may be able to support us, is understanding those translation needs that we have. And in your community, you may have resources that can help us translate some of our core content into other languages. So international still is people come to us looking for help and support, and we're trying to build networks that can help us do that.
Yeah. Well, 2024 is going to be an exciting year. I'm really excited to see some of the work we're doing. Like I said, the behind the scenes right now, we have this year-end crunch. I know we're going to make it, and I can't wait to start that pilot. So, I know we're running up here on time. So last call, if you have questions or comments for Amy, please leave them in the comment section. We'll make sure we get to them here. But before, we have some final questions for you, Amy. Is there anything else our listeners should know about 2024, or any new updates you want to share?
Well, I'm not sure if I hit everything I was supposed to today, but what I will say is this year couldn't have been successful without all the help that everybody's provided, both in volunteer hours, financially, with their ideas, with their feedback, participating in surveys, and we'll be sending out our kind of State of the Survivor survey here shortly. But it matters. I was just on a call yesterday, sharing kind of what we're doing for a global effort. And so what we're doing here is people are interested in this community and what we're doing and what we're able to accomplish. And that can only happen because of all of you. So thank you very much for all your support and input and insights.
Awesome. Well, Amy, we're so thankful to have you on today's podcast. And speaking of being thankful, we'd love to know more about what you're thankful for in 2023 this year.
Well, I'm thankful for my health. I'm thankful for the team at Phoenix Society, our board of directors, and all of those that support myself and the mission. I couldn't ask for a better team and more support of our board. They're great people that are passionate about this work. And just thankful to be part of this community and those that I have gotten to know over the last 25 years. It's family. And so I'm grateful for the family, my own family, and this extended family.
Yes, we're so thankful for, everyone who supported Phoenix Society over this past year. So, Amber asked you about 2023. I'm going to ask you a tough nail biter about 2024. Mm-hmm. What's the number one thing you're most looking forward to next year?
Work-wise?
Well, you can give us both. I'll get two answers.
I want to hear both, Amy.
Well, work-wise, I'm super excited about working with our hospital partners on the journey forward. so we can come together as communities to help transition people back into their community. I'm super excited about this opportunity, and I think if we put our heads together, we'll continue to improve it over time. It's not going to be perfect, and we don't want perfection to get in the way of trying. So we're going to really target that transition because we hear so often. And this year at World Burn again, it was really exciting to see some people that were like literally a few months from their injury at World Burn. Versus those that just found it 20 years later, and the angst that had to happen for those people. So I'm most excited about continuing to drive forward to try to meet that need. Personally, I'm just excited to continue to watch my family fly off and do their thing. You have a new little baby. Rachel's not there yet, but mine are flown the coop and are living their lives. And there's just nothing better to watch that happen. And so I'm excited for what they might do next year, my kids.
That's awesome.
Well, it does look like we have a question that did come in before we ask you our 2 final questions, Amy.
All right.
Crystal wants to know what the next date or the next World Burn Congress. Do you have a date yet for the event?
We are going to be in 2025, and Rachel will know the date, I'm sure.
Yeah, October 29th through November 1st, 2025. And we'll be in Grapevine, Texas. So be sure to save the date. You won't want to miss it. It'll be even better than this past year's, for sure.
Yeah, and put a little jar and start putting 50 cents in every day and see what you can do to get there. And I think, again, we're going to continue to expand and bring great speakers together and look forward to 2025. So we're doing every other year. I think that will allow us, again, to continue to move forward with things like the Journey Forward and still keep World Burn happening, and then do a lot of virtual content. So join us virtually in the meantime.
Yes.
So exciting. And hopefully this coming World Burn, I will be able to be there in person this time.
Yeah.
So
Bring crew.
Yeah, that's right. I am not allowed to go anywhere lately without him. So everyone's always like, it's nice to see you. Where's your baby? Okay. So we always ask our guests 2 final quick questions. The first question, Amy, that I have for you, for our audience, as many of us know, you are a burn survivor, but for those who are just joining today for the first time and maybe not aware, Amy is also a burn survivor. So Amy, do you want to share with the community, as a newly injured survivor, what advice would you give them?
Set goals, even if they're small, and march to one and be happy and grateful for getting there, and set another one. And I think that was probably the biggest tool somebody gave me, is set some attainable goals, short-term.
I love that.
Yes.
Yeah. Baby steps.
Yeah.
Definitely. Well, that's some great advice. So without further ado, here is our final question. It's our Phoenix Partner question, which today is sponsored by Buses by the Beach, a group of VW van lovers who raise money for Phoenix Society. So Amy, what's something you're grateful for today? Not for this past year, just today.
Today that I got through this without the cat jumping on my computer and tipping it off. But that's what I'm grateful for. No dogs barking, no cats, and that I got to be with you all. And didn't flub up too bad, did I, Rachel?
No, you did amazing. Thank you, Amy, so much for joining us for this last podcast of the year. I do just want to give another quick reminder. I mentioned this on our Giving Tuesday podcast, but we are doing a very special monthly giving match campaign. Special thanks to Howard and Tony, our burn survivors and board members and special agents, as we often refer to them. They are matching all new monthly donations given before the end of the year. So you have about 16 days, I guess 15 and a half days on the hours to sign up to be a monthly donor, and your impact will be doubled. So even if it's $5 a month, that doubles to 10 thanks to Howard and Tony. So we encourage you to sign up, and you can learn more at give.phoenix-society.org/match23. So thank you again, Amy, for joining us. Thank you to all of those who are commenting and listening today. It's been another great season of Girls with Graphs.
Yeah. Congratulations, guys.
Thank you
Looking
so
forward to
much.
next season.
Yes.
All right. See ya.
All right. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye. Bye.
Thanks so much for tuning in to this episode of Girls with Grafts. If you are enjoying this content, please feel free to rate, subscribe, and leave a review wherever you listen to your podcasts. This helps others find the show, and we greatly appreciate it. Thanks again for listening, and we'll catch you in the next episode.